Hello there, all you beautiful people and wonderful souls. Back again with another one on procrastination and getting past that old habit. My name is Chris Swift from White Rabbit Hypnosis. This is part 4 in the series on procrastination and taking action. And in this one, I'm going to kind of pick up where we left off in the last one. In the last video, I talked about the idea of the future self and being kind to your future self and sort of developing a relationship to that future self. In this video, we're going to go a little bit further. I'm going to ask you to imagine some things if you're in a place where you can safely do so. What we do today won't exactly be hypnosis, but it's a step towards an engagement of that unconscious mind, to bring the unconscious mind into this process, to make these changes even easier for you. So in a moment, I'm going to lead you through an exercise. And while what we're about to do isn't exactly hypnosis, I'd advise you only to do this if you're in an environment where you can do it safely. I'm going to ask you to imagine some things. Whatever you normally imagine is fine. You don't need a special imagination for this exercise, but I just want you to imagine some things. If you're in an environment where you can close your eyes, you might find it even easier to imagine what I'm about to describe. So if you're in such an environment, go ahead and take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, just close your eyes. Just allow yourself to relax. And notice the environment around you. Notice how you can feel supported by the surface beneath you. Notice the temperature of the air on your skin. And just focus on your breathing for a moment as I describe something I'd like you to imagine. And I'd like you to imagine now that future you for whom this old habit would never be a problem. That future you who's already long overcome that old procrastination habit. Or any habit you're trying to get past. Imagine that future you standing out there as though you can see them in a photograph or in a movie. See them out there now. See the way they stand. See the confidence coming from them. The smile on their face. Maybe hear them laughing. Get a sense of that future self out there who's already long overcome this problem. And now I want you to imagine that you could drift into that picture, into that movie, and see things from their perspective. And look back on all the things you will have done so well. And from the perspective of that future you, feeling so proud and confident in the position of that future you, think back on that you of the past who's done so well at overcoming this, and send a thank you to that you of the past for doing all the stuff that was necessary to make taking action automatic for you and all the things you will have achieved by then. And so now I'm going to ask you to take a nice deep breath in again. As you exhale, just let that fade from your conscious awareness. Open your eyes if your eyes are still closed. And just come back. Notice the environment around you. That surface still supporting you. That wonderful heart beating for you. That wonderful unconscious keeping you safe and leading you towards greater experiences of safety and of greater pleasure in that future you're moving into. And so this idea of this future self, thanking the past self, is something we're going to come back to in a moment. But I'd first like to bring up another little thing I'd like you to think about. Oftentimes, when we choose to avoid a task, when we choose to procrastinate, the reason is because we imagine that that experience is going to be some unpleasant experience. And that often winds up not being true when we experience it in real time. However, I'm just going to recommend that you might as well take a step further. Imagine 10 steps beyond having done that thing. And imagine the future self who's so glad that that thing is done. If you're going to imagine a future situation, you might as well keep on going. Play that movie a little bit longer. And realize that you come out the other side just fine. On the other side of that dreaded task, there's a you that's glad that that task is done. A you that can look back at that past self and say, thank you. Thank you for taking care of that past self. Thank you for doing that. So now it's in my past. I don't have to worry about that anymore. I can just enjoy this future now that you've provided for me, past self. And can you imagine a future like that? On the other side of that dreaded task. Let's take it out of the hypothetical. I want you to think now about some near future task that you're dreading. Something that you'd rather just procrastinate on. And you probably have something you're imagining when you think about that task. And I'm going to ask you now just to go further beyond that. Why stop now? Step beyond that and imagine a future days or hours after that task has been completed. Imagine being that future self now and being so glad that that task is done. Imagine being able, from that future position, to look back at your past self and be proud of the things you've done. Be proud of the fact that you took action and that now, from that future perspective, you can enjoy knowing that it's done. And you can also enjoy knowing that you are a person that takes action. That you're a person that does the thing in advance so that you can have an even more pleasant future going forward. Think about that now. I'm going to ask you to do one more thing as you move around in the world around you, as you move towards that future that you want. So here's the little trick that I'd like to leave with you today, that I'd like you to test out in the real world and see how it treats you. And it goes like this. It's 2 parts. Here's the first part. If at any future point you find yourself thinking of a future task and imagining some dreadful scenario that causes you to want to procrastinate on it, remember this video. Remember that you can go beyond that and think about the future point even further in the timeline. And realize how grateful you'll be to have that task done. All right, so that's part 1. Part 2 is this. At any future point where you get to enjoy something you've already done, maybe it's a lunch that you packed or purchased or ordered, or some task you've already done in some way, laundry you've already washed. Send a little thank you to the past version of yourself that did that task. Say, I'm grateful that you did that. Thank you, past self, for taking care of me so I can enjoy this thing, this circumstance now. Now, at first, that might feel a little bit silly, thanking a past version of yourself. But if it does feel silly, if it gives you a little laugh, just enjoy that. We all need a little more of that in our lives, don't we? And here's the thing that's interesting about it. The more you do that, the more you start thanking your past self, the more you're going to realize the connections between these past and future versions of yourself. The more you'll realize that when you take action in the present, you're creating a wonderful future for yourself. And if you can just skip over that near future to a slightly more future point and realize how good it'll be on the other side of that otherwise dreaded task, I think you'll find the advantages of this start to catch on pretty quickly. And you can notice yourself rapidly onboarding that identity of someone that closes loops, someone that takes action, someone that gets things done. And maybe you'll find that old unnecessary habit of procrastination just slips into the past. And as you notice that more, slipping further into the past, be excited about the future that you can create for yourself. Because there is a lot of possibility, and you have a lot more power than you realize. And I'm interested to hear how this works out for you all. So give it a whirl, test it out. If you weren't in a position where you could do this little imagination exercise, come back to this video later, or just think about it, do it on your own. I think you might find it an interesting experience. All right, I'll be back in the near future with another one on these. We're going to knock this procrastination stuff out so you can enjoy a future you want. If you'd like to work more closely with me, swing by whiterabbithypnosis.com or click the links in the description wherever you find this. You'll find my Calendly link somewhere. If you just want to book a call with me or book a session, feel free. The consultations are free. I'd like to talk to you about whatever it is you'd like to get past so we can create a better future for you. All right, well, until next time, best wishes out there in this crazy world. I hope you're all doing well and increasingly better as you move into that future. Take care now. If you like this kind of thing, stop by whiterabbithypnosis.com so you can pick up a few more tips and tricks for your adventure. Be seeing you.